while last time was what Survivor Series?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was the preview of Survivor Series, if I remember correctly. The predictions of Survivor Series.
ain't gonna lie, that show wasn't really the best. So, um,
No.
I don't know
Apart
what
from
it
the War
is.
Games matches themselves, it was kind of eh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was there. Um, so this is our. We always late with this every year, but it is what it is. We're going to get to it whenever we want to. Our best matches of 2024 with the categories of other things as well. I want to get to the matches later actually because I feel like with us just talking with the little bit that we have before going on, I think our lists are going to be different, which is always great for discussion. So I'll wait that till a little bit later. Um, Actually, I just want to talk about the Saturday night main event card and our previews and predictions for that real quick because it's more those shows to me feel like just a very good house show. Similar. I
That's essentially what it is. It's just a televised house show. That's basically what it is. Because like I remember the last time we had Saturday Night Main Event, people were like thinking at first it was a PLE, but WWE specifically said that it's not a PLE, so don't treat it as one. So yeah, it's pretty much just a fucking uh, live live event. It's a just a televised live event. That's basically what it is.
yeah. I never understood why people spoke very highly of it, thinking it was going to be like a big time thing or something like that. It's just to have that old retro feel, and plus NBC paid for them to do the Saturday night main event. So if WWE has someone paying them to do a show, they going to do it. So I mean, it's not like they promised them, 5-star matches or
Yeah.
very great matches like PLE or something like that. No. So the four things that's on here, and if there's only three matches confirmed so far, now it might they probably going to add another one to it, but we're we're doing this right now on wait a minute, what is this on a Sunday? So we got 6 days until Saturday night main event, but um the matches that we have is Braun Breaker versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't like that they're doing this, but it's probably going to be like a just here's the match, and it's not going to be much of anything. I feel like because I feel like that should be like the WrestleMania not main event, but Intercontinental Championship match.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I find it weird that they're doing this match this soon and this early, but I guess it's because maybe they don't want this to just be a one and done thing at WrestleMania. They want, I guess, Sheamus to work for it and go through trials to eventually maybe get the title at WrestleMania. That's what I personally think, anyway. So, I think Sheamus will lose ultimately, and then they're gonna have another match, probably at WrestleMania, or maybe one in between. Then who knows? But I think it is ultimately going to lead to them having a match at WrestleMania, either as a singles match or maybe someone else thrown in as well, just to make it a bit more interesting. We'll see. But ultimately, I think it's going to lead to Sheamus winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, which has been a long time coming. Let's be real here,
yeah,
and he more than deserves it. So yeah, yeah, I think that's definitely going to happen.
right. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Please hit that like button if you just to help out. I'll donate. I don't have a donation thing, so don't even try to do that. I don't know how you would even do that because I don't have a link, but I don't really give shout outs like that as well. So sorry. Yeah, this is going to be one of those probably 10, 11 minute matches that is like just decent or average, and something just the ending just not going to feel right or something. That's all I can. I don't even really have a prediction for this match. I just think something's going to mess up, or I don't know. It's something weird. Something very weird. What's up, Tyrell? What's up, man? Appreciate the sub. And so there's only 3 matches on the Saturday night main event card, and so the second thing is literally Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens signing a contract for the Royal Rumble with Shawn Michaels as the special enforcer or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Well, what the hell is Shawn going to do? He's retired. I don't know what he's really going to do. You see, he runs NXT. He's really keeping those people in line down there. So, like, I don't understand. I get Shawn is from Texas and everything, so I guess that's why and everything. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just because he's from Texas and that's mostly why they're doing it. Because he's retired, so he's not going to be doing anything. So yeah, I guess we'll just see what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't think it's anything other than that. Uh, do you enjoy Skipknot? You mean Slipknot? Well, I do. I do. So yeah, I am a big Slipknot fan. But that's neither here nor there.
So I'm not the biggest into music, but when it comes to anything that's metal or rock, I'm not the biggest person that listens to that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm the metalhead here.
so I do apologize to those people that do listen to it, but I really just don't. That's like one of the genres that I actually really don't listen to that much. I
Hmm.
listen to like the old rock stuff. I do like that. I just don't. I just don't listen to the new
Yeah, everyone has
stuff.
music preferences.
So, but yeah, this signing, I guess it's just to put something on the show and to have Cody and Kevin Owens show up on the show. I guess only thing I can think of. Uh, so Hotel California guy. Yeah, basically. Um, so just recently announced Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. Now I am very excited for this because Jacob Fatu's first big time esque one-on-one match. I believe just on a platform that's to like a audience, just a different audience and everything like that. So that's I'm excited for it. Um, I don't see them giving one of these guys a loss, but it's definitely got to be Braun if someone wins or loses clean or in a dirty way or something like that. So I definitely think Jacob Fatu is going to win. What do you think of Solo not talking and everything, and Jacob just taking the mic and basically, doing that on SmackDown? Because it felt like, and we've mentioned this several times. We've mentioned this several times. I always thought when Jacob was brought in and everything, when Jacob was brought in and everything, I was like, hmm, you know, I could see him being the leader of the bloodline because Jacob isn't going to be one of those people that just stands on the sidelines forever. He's not that type of dude. And that promo he did and everything, it just shows me. I mean, I don't know how it happens, but I don't see Solo being with them that much longer. I guess I could say.
I don't know. I don't know like what direction they're gonna go with Solo's bloodline in the future. So I genuinely don't really know. But I mean, yeah, with Fatu taking the mic over Solo, I guess it's maybe because Fatu is just more comfortable on the microphone than maybe Solo is. A lot more confident, maybe. Just one of those things that he's just better on the microphone than Solo. So he's more the mouthpiece of the bloodline more than Solo is. It's kind of like when Roman at first was in the bloodline with the original bloodline and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was mostly the mouthpiece for the bloodline, and if it wasn't Paul, then it was maybe someone like Sammy, because Sammy talked a lot while in the bloodline. So yeah, I think it's just one of those cases. But I do agree with the fact that Fatu is definitely not going to be one of those guys that's just going to be on the sidelines for too long. So and plus I think Hunter is very high on him, so I can see him maybe getting a big push in the future, and I don't see why not. He's a monster. So yeah. In terms of what happens with Solo though in the future, I don't know. I don't know if Fatu eventually turns on Solo. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's certainly a thing to think about, and certainly a direction they could go down in the future. And yeah, we'll just see where they go with Fatu in the future.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, so I mean, I think we're both on the same page that Jacob probably gonna win this match. Maybe not
Yeah,
clean. Maybe with Tama helping him. I don't know, but I just don't
yeah,
see. I
Fatu's
don't
winning
see
this.
Braun losing clean, but he might just because they're gonna push Jacob to the moon eventually. So
Yeah, I think Fatu is winning. Whether he wins clean or not, he's definitely winning this match. I think.
yeah. So, what should definitely be the main event of this Saturday night main event? Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against main event Jay Uso. That this is I don't want to sound negative when I say this because I really hate sounding very negative with anything I say. But first of all, why is Jay Uso getting the world title match? One. And two, we know they profit off Jay so much. And shout out to Jay for getting it might have been one word, but that one word has stuck with the audience and then the movement of Yeaton and all that. Shout out to him for that because when he was by himself, I thought he could do something, but I didn't think it would be this much, if I'm being honest.
It's
So
kind it's a bit different to the like comparison to give. It's a bit different, but and a bit like, but it has similar feeling to it. The yeet kind of thing is kind of similar to the yes movement, where like Daniel
mhm.
Bryan took one word and it made him over. Jay's now done the same thing. Now that he's took one word and he's over with it, and he's made himself into one of the most over stars on the roster, if not probably the most over right now, which is crazy to think. But yeah, I understand him being put in a world title match just purely because he's so over and so popular that it is going to make an atmosphere between Jay and Gunter. But at the same time, has he done enough to warrant a world title match? Is the question. Um, that's to be debated. But either way, it's going to be a good match. Jay can put on a good match if with the right opponent, and Gunter can have a good match with fucking anybody. So he can have a good match with a mop. So yeah, it's going to be a good match, and but ultimately the inevitable is going to happen. Gunter's retaining. Jay, do you see him winning the title next Saturday? No, no, I don't. I don't. It's going to be a Gunter retain, and it should be a Gunter retain. Gunter shouldn't be dropping the title until at least WrestleMania, at least, if not carrying it like beyond WrestleMania. But yeah, there's no chance in hell that Gunter is not walking into WrestleMania as the World Heavyweight Champion. No
yeah,
chance.
yeah. If this was further, if this was further in Gunther's reign, I could see them pulling the trigger maybe. But this is not very far into his reign. I mean, it's still a good because he won it at SummerSlam, but it's still not as long of a reign as I would like for him to have it and everything. Um, I could definitely see Jay being a champion in the future, but right now is just not the right time. I don't think so. But see, that's the thing with Jay. They can put him anywhere and he's good, but I don't know where they go from here or anything. If he, because it seemed like he's done with bloodline business, but I don't know if he's really done. So, so that's like a in between thing. But yeah, I do agree. Gunther should retain. But yeah, I don't see, honestly, depending on how the Rumble stacks up and what happens. I don't know if Gunther's losing it at Mania. I guess it really depends who actually wins or something. So, but
Yeah, that's why I said at least until Mania, if not beyond. He even holds the belt beyond WrestleMania. I could definitely see that being a possibility. So yeah, like you said, it depends on who wins the Rumble or whoever wins the Chamber. Basically, who is going to face Gunther. Yeah, it just depends on who that person is going to be. Who which, to be honest, I'm not sure at the minute. I'm not sure who ultimately is going to face Gunther, so that's up in the air. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see around WrestleMania time when we do the predictions whether we predict Gunther to retain or lose the belt. We'll see.
well, Royal Rumble is coming up, so we'll have something for the Royal Rumble that week, for sure. So that'll be the
Definitely.
next time. That'll be the next time. Don't know what day, but we'll figure out the day. And when you see us live, hey, that's when we're going to do it. Um, so that's it for the Saturday Night Main Event card that they have projected right now. I'm sure there'll be another match added onto it, but I don't know what. So we got categories of who was the best, blah blah blah, in 2024, and then after we get done with these categories, we have our match of the year, top 10, top 10 or whatever, and then honorable mentions. Because I feel like my honorable mentions should be named. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm looking at three of these five matches, and I'm thinking I thought this was gonna be in the top 10. So it's crazy to me that these matches are left off, but this is how good they had this year with a lot of matches to me. So it's crazy to me. Very crazy.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Um okay. So let's just go on to it. Top 5. Top 5. This is the only top 5 we're going to have for any of these categories. Women's and men's wrestlers of the year.
Hmm.
So we're going to do a top 5 of both. And so I'm going to be writing mine down as we speak, actually, because so I can somewhat remember who I emulate.
Yeah, I'm doing the same here because
Okay,
I've
so
got I've got names popping in my head. It's just where do I order them now? It's yeah, I have names just in my head already. Um, but yeah, it's just figuring out how to order them, which is going to be the difficult part. Uh, which let's see.
so
Um,
let's go number 5 for female. Let's go let's go for number 5 for female, and I'll let you start off, and then I'll do number 4.
let's see. Oh God, female's more tough because I'm actually well, at the moment I don't see anyone viable to beat Gunther for the belt other than Punk, Rollins, or McIntyre. Personally, yeah, those are the names that popped ahead immediately. Maybe, yeah. I was gonna say Tyler is right there. Like maybe Cena, because Cena could win the Rumble and Cena could win that 17th championship at WrestleMania beating Gunther, but we'll see. Could be Cena, it could not be, but we'll see. Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre are also good choices. McIntyre probably not, because I just don't see McIntyre being the one to beat Gunther. I don't see like the heel of his heel dynamic, whereas Punk or Rollins is probably more likely. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. Okay, I gotta think now. Fuck. Okay. Oh boy. I gotta think now. Who's been prevalent? I'm gonna go number 5. Oh, yikes! Oh, I'm struggling already. I'm just. I have names. It's just again ordering them. Which one I want to be 5, which one to be 4, and that.
Hmm,
Buh, buh, buh.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
I'm gonna go Bailey number 5. I'm gonna go Bailey number 5. Just primarily, I just don't think over the course of the whole year she was like incredible, like on top of her game. But like it was pretty much the start of the year that she like was excellent, and then just tailed off the second end. So that's me personally why she's dropped a bit further down. Like if she kept her consistency from the start of the year to the end, she would be like top 3, or like it'd be like 1, 2, or 3 around that sort of area. But yeah, just the tail end of the year, she just didn't do too much. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Bailey as number 5.
Hmm, hmm. Um, hmm. So I'm writing down my list while I'm thinking and everything. So I'm trying to do that. Um, and I'm trying to think of my number 3 spot while I'm supposed to be saying my number 5. Um, so hmm. For me, Bailey started off really well, and man, did she ever fall off? To me, and it's not trying to say it in a bad way, but she just really did. She was just. It feels like ever since she lost the belt, she's just been there.
Yeah,
She's just there. It's like doesn't seem like she has like a true purpose, and that's not her fault. But um, so I'm gonna have to put her in my honorable mentions because I don't have her number 5. I don't have her on my list.
oh
Um,
wow.
I think someone that has pretty much carried, not carried, but just done really well for herself all throughout the year with whatever she's been given, and now it's showing up a little bit more. I'm gonna put Chelsea number 5 on my list instead of Bailey.
Fair enough, because funny enough, that's who I have as my number 4, which is quite ironic. Yeah, I have Chelsea Gray as my number 4. Just primarily, like you said, she kills everything she's been given throughout the year. She's done really well to get herself over with the fans, and just no matter like what she gets given, she just rolls with it and she makes it good. And now she's been rewarded with becoming the first ever Women's United States champion. So yeah, just with that alone, that makes her into my number 4.
Damn. Man, I'm gonna have one name off this list that I just don't because I don't want to, but she's going to be off the list. Um, but I want to do a shout out to EO because I feel like EO, with whatever she's done, she's done really well. But for my number 4, I think she's done with whatever she's been given, and I feel like every time she's in a segment where it's talking with females, she outshines everyone and actually makes sense, and that's Naomi. So I'm putting Naomi on 4 because she's had a very good year wrestling wise with matches that she's had as well.
Okay, fair. I mean, Naomi is in my honorable mentions. I didn't really like type in honorable mentions, so that's why I haven't said any. But if I had to like put honorable mentions in, she would be one of them. So I am like giving Naomi her props. She has done well this year. Just yeah, she doesn't make it
So
into my top five.
so since you already did number 4, let me do number 3 so you don't have to say it
Oh yeah,
first.
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Let's all acknowledge Nia Jax.
No one will be shocked here, but she is not in my top five. Not even in my honorable mentions.
What
Not
what a
even
hater.
close.
What a hater. Because if you're not a hater, then you know she's had a very good year overall. I get it. I get it. You don't like her, but she's had a very good year overall.
Look, she's not been as terrible as in previous years. I'll give her that.
Uh,
But
nah. I don't want to hear it. You're not giving her no props. I don't want to hear it, and I get it. I get it. But
but ultimately, when I looked at the pay per views that she's been on, or the PLEs, whatever, and I look at the matches on each PLE, who has been in each of the worst matches, arguably on each one? Nia Jax. So I'm sorry, but even though she's not been as bad as previous years, she still, for me, was a meh champion, which was only there just to build up Tiffany's rise to the top. Who is in my top five? Not Nia. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say about the whole Nia. But I respect your opinion that she's in your top five, but she's not in mine. But in my number three is Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan. And the reason why people will be shocked if people would think I would have Liv as number one or number two, just primarily because she's been champion. She was champion for a while. She pretty much not carried the women's division, but I mean she was the champion. She was for a while. She was the only one who could really because Rhea wasn't around, and she did do well as champion. I will say for the time that Rhea was out, she had a couple of good matches, but nothing that really stood out for me. I will say that's why I don't think of Liv's reign as fantastic, just solid for the time Rhea was out. Because ultimately, it was always going to lead to Rhea getting the belt back when she came back eventually. I wish it didn't get dragged out as much. That's the one thing I will say. That got dragged out way too long. Um, but yeah, she had a couple solid matches in her reign, so that's why she's in my number three. I just think there's two women that had a better year than her, both in an in-ring aspect and just I guess better moments. So yeah, that's why she's in my number three.
all right, go ahead with your number 2.
My number two is Io Sky. Primarily just because there's a bunch of matches in like her time in this year that has been incredible. Some of the best women's matches of the year in 2024 had Io in it. Not just the Bailey match, but some of her matches with Lyra Vicaria on Raw and other times she's faced Lyra Vicaria, absolutely slayed it. And yeah, just overall, she's had a very good year. Arguably the best year out of all the women on the roster in terms of in-ring matches. So that's why me personally, my number two is Io Sky. For me, number one female 2024 is Rhea. Honorable mention is Jordan Grace. See, Rhea's not even in my top five, and I love Rhea. She's just been injured too much. She was injured for too long of the year, and when she was available, I will admit wasn't that good because of the whole Liv feud. The matches with Liv was okay at best. The feud was meh, and fans getting sick and tired of it. So no, as much as I love Rhea and she is over as fuck, this wasn't her year. She's not even in my top 5. Rhea was my number 1 last year, if I remember correctly. 2023 was her year. 2024, not so much.
Well, I'll just go ahead and say my number 2 and number 1 is pretty obvious for me. Um, Rhea is number 2 to me. I know her matches probably wasn't really that good, but a lot of the times when you see her on television, she just screams like star. And to me, that's a big thing when you're on television, even if you're doing the same story. That screams a lot for me. And um, when I did my rankings, it's not all about the matches. I think it's about story. I think it's about, can someone change up what the hell they were doing before they were doing it? And that's the main reason Liv is my number 1, because I feel like how she took the Judgment Day basically away from Rhea and a lot of stuff with that. I think Liv is my number 1, and I you can't blame the matches on her either. You got blame on, oh, let's keep on running the same storyline. It if 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 they would have did a different layout to getting her back to Rhea, I think she would be in your top 2 for sure. I just feel like she would, because
If he had better matches with Rhea and people enjoyed the storyline more with her and Rhea, she definitely would be in my top 2. And probably number 1 along with you, or number 2. And Rhea would be in my top 5 if that feud was better and people enjoyed that feud and they had better matches. But ultimately, people were calling for the feud to end. People were calling for that feud to be gone. So, in my opinion, that by itself doesn't warrant a number 1 spot for either of them. And for Rhea, because she was injured for so long, she doesn't even make it into my top 5. But that's my personal opinion, which is why my number 1 is Tiffany Stratton. When I think of 2024, I don't think Liv, I don't think Rhea, I don't think Nia, I don't think any of the champions, I don't think of anyone like that. I think of Tiffany Stratton because I think that was her breakout year. That was her year. She won the Money in the Bank. She got very over with the crowd. Her cash in was a fantastic moment. Um, of like cashing on Nia, winning the belt in the way that she did, outsmarted the entire division, pretty much, but like went through the entire division in order to cash in. So yeah, just in my personal opinion, 2024 was Tiffany's breakout year, and just yeah, when I think of 2024, I just think it was Tiffany's year. So that's why Tiffany Stratton for me is my number 1.
mm, mhm. I we this is a good thing about lists. We both, with our list, we did our list kind of differently this year with, how I word this. um we did our list with, you did it off something else than what I did it. I did it off somewhat star power storyline, not as much matches and then getting yourself better. So I will say this. I probably should have Tiffany in my top 5, but it is what it is. I've already fucked up my list. So let's go to the men's now. And Josh says my men's number 1 of 24, Drew McIntyre. Character won it for me. 2 honorable mentions, CM Punk and then Joe Hendry. Yeah, Joe's not going to be in my top 5 because he's not WWE all the way. That's the only reason he will not be. But
But we're not
but
including people from NXT in our lists.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
not doing
yeah. We're not
NXT.
doing that. But Joe really had a heck of a year, and
Mhm.
Well, let's hope TNA does the right thing, but we'll see. Um, top five mans of the year, boy.
Cool.
I
Okay,
feel
again, I have five in my head. It's ordering them. Oh boy.
um only really watching it. I wish I watched more NXT if I'm being
So
honest.
for me, you could make this top five list anyway. Like it just depends on uh, the reasons why you're listing them. Like for me, there's a person you can list number one for like the matches aspect. There's one you can put as number one for the character work, and there's one you could put at number one just for the pure star power, and there's one you could put at number one for him carrying the company throughout the entire year. So it's just it's
It, it
difficult.
to me, this is very tough. This is very
Mm.
tough to me.
It's not difficult thinking up with names. It's listing them. It's ordering them that is the toughest because it's woof. And there's a couple honorable mentions here that deserve a shout. So I'm going to go through my honorable mentions. I think I only have like two honorable mentions here, but they do deserve a shout out. One is Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn for me deserves a shout out because he's had a great year, great matches, had a good IC title reign, has been involved with the Bloodline storyline at the end of the year, and yeah, just overall he's had a very solid year. So, but just not enough for me to break into the top five. Um, and also in the top five, not in the top five, the honorable mentions is I'm thinking about who, like my number five and the honorable mention I have was like, am I gonna have that person in my top five or that person in my honorable mentions? Um, Kevin Owens. I'm gonna have Kevin Owens also in the honorable mentions, because he's also had a fantastic year, especially with the feud now with Cody Rhodes, and he was also involved with the Bloodline stuff, especially at the start. So yeah, he's had a great year overall. Kevin Owens,
So
great character work as always. Yeah.
so those two are in my honorable mentions, and I got one more because I feel like we've already talked about him, and that's Jay. He would be like my number eight, and it's not like a far number eight. Wait a minute, let's see. I see. Yeah, he'd be like my number eight, but it's not like far away from my number five. Like it's not very far. So I have to put Jay as an honorable mention because he's really done a heck of a job. And you said Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has. If this was if one or two of these people were injured that's in my top five, he would definitely be in my top five. But that's just the year it was in 2024 that he's not in the top five, but he had a top five top year easily. So
hmm And
that's
also,
crazy.
I think this is going to be a controversial one. This is going to be a controversial one, and I am willing to be wrong, but I'm going to stand my ground here. Also in my honorable mentions, and it's like this close. And I never thought I'd put him outside the top five, just primarily because of how big of a star he is. But I just don't think he's. When I think of this, like 2024, I think of other people more than him, unfortunately, and that is Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah, he's not in my top five.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I thought it was going to be controversial just because of how big of a star he is. But yeah, Roman Reigns doesn't make my top five. He's honorable mentions, but he doesn't make my top five. I just think because he's been missing for so much of the year after WrestleMania, um, and yeah, I guess he just hasn't had any real standout moments apart from his return and the big War Games match. He just yeah, he hasn't had as much standout moments as others in the top five. So I just think fair wise, yeah, he's outside the top five. Another one that would be honorable mention is Chad Gable. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's another one. Yeah, definitely. Chad Gable also in the honorable mentions. He's had a fantastic year, especially some of his matches with Sami Zayn. More on that later. But yeah, Chad Gable also in my honorable mentions. So, all right, who's going to start off the top five? Me or you?
I'll start it off. So
Okay.
we'll see what type of vibe you get from my number five. He had a he had an up and down year, but man, oh man. But I feel like he's just done everything consistently. It feels like very good. My number five is Seth. I got Seth at five.
Wow. This is Here's what's crazy. Seth is not in my top five.
I got
I,
Seth at five.
And that's crazy because, like, I do agree. Seth has been largely consistent this year. Like, he's been very consistent. Like, everything's done is pretty good. But for me, Seth hasn't done anything fantastic or spectacular this year. That's why nothing's really stood out for me with Seth this year. Well, last year technically. So he's not in my top five. He can be an honorable mention. I will say he probably can get in the honorable mention spot, but he doesn't get into my top five. But I'll let you continue with why you've put him in the top five.
Um, I I know one season shouldn't really describe his season or describe his year, but I feel like him doing a now how long was that match? Because had it wrote down somewhere. Him doing a 40+ minute match for night one on a messed up knee, and then having to face Drew McIntyre the next night to start off the night, and then what he did later on in that night to help Cody. He went by his word and said he was going to be the Shield, and basically was, and basically tore his knee out even more for doing all that. And I think I know he's been off and on with stuff, but I think with everything he's had this year, match wise and everything, he's made it to where it's like, for me, if I know Seth's going to be on, I want to be watching. And if you're one of those people, you're definitely in my top five. Um, Now thinking about it, and I hate to say this, but for another honorable mention, and this will be my last one. My last one will be Damien, because Damien really had a very great year, but he did not make my top five.
He's in mine. In fact, he's number five. He's my number five, Damian Priest. So we've pretty much swapped Priest and Rollins around. But yeah, Priest is my top five. Is in my number five because I just think he just overall has had a better year than Seth in terms of having more moments, having like just more memorable things in the year than Seth. Um, cashing in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, winning the belt, uh, having some good title matches against the likes of Gunther and Seth and Drew. I just think Damian Priest has had a big breakout year for him, and really cemented himself as one of the big main eventers, big stars on the roster. And some of the stuff with the Judgment Day with Finn as well has been, yeah, okay, some of it has been meh, but some of it has been pretty good as well. So yeah, I just think overall Priest has had a very good year and deserves to be in the top five for me. Am I doing number four now,
Yeah,
or are
go
you
ahead
doing
and
number
do
four?
four. Go ahead and do four.
My number four is someone who I thought genuinely was going to be in my top three at first, but then I looked at the other three and I was like, oh, he just misses out, which is unlucky for him because he's had a great year and he's had great character work along with someone else and a great feud. But my number four is CM Punk, which probably is like, damn, CM Punk not even in the top three. It's just because of how good of a year the other three have had. But Punk has had a fantastic year. Like I said, the character work with Drew, and more Drew later. Character work with Drew McIntyre, the feud with him, the Hell in a Cell match that he had with him, as well as the other two matches that he had with him, like great matches. So yeah, Punk has had a fantastic year, but there's just three people in my head that are just had a slightly better year than him. But still, what a year for Punk, and I think 2025 will be just as good of a year for him, if not maybe even better. So yeah, Punk is my number 4.
Yeah, I think he'll have a better year because he is my number 4 as well. I actually got him at number 4 as well. Um, I think he's had. I don't think it's crazy to. Yeah, it definitely did, especially me watching it live.
Definitely. Yeah,
Um,
I will speak more about that Hell in a Cell match later, but yeah, I do have that feeling too that it restored the feeling of Hell in a Cell and just the
yeah,
mystique of it.
I could talk about it right now, but I have to hold off. Um,
Mm.
Punk is my number 4. Basically for the same reasons. Like he did really good, but the three people in front of him, I felt like just had a. Well, the person in front of him, I felt like he barely had a better year. My top two felt like they had a better year by a little bit more of a margin. Um,
Mm.
so I got Punk as my number 4, and I will go into my number 3, which great character work, great stuff overall for the entire year, and that's Drew. I got Drew number 3. Um, Drew, overall just had a very good year, even with whatever was dealt, even if he lost. It just felt like he can restore his character even with losing. So, so that's why, it, you know, it's hard for me. It's hard to even get him above the two, but my top two. But he is semi close to him. But I gotta go Drew 3, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I've see for me the three are a lot closer than in my head than for you. Like for you, it's Drew is like a lot behind. Well, not a lot behind, but quite a bit behind the top two. For me, he's like this close. So it's even now I'm struggling to think like which should I order these three? I because Drew is in my top 5 definitely. I'm just thinking now if I put him number 2 or number 3. He's not number 1 for me, I will say, but I'm just trying to think of whether I have him as number 2 or number 3. I think I might go different and put him number 2. I'm gonna go number 3 Gunter. I'm gonna go number 3 Gunter. Yeah, I just think Drew's character work for me is what has won me over this year in terms of McIntyre and why I put him above Gunter. Just and also Drew has had great matches too, so it's a mix of great matches, arguably the match of the year, maybe, and great fantastic character work, probably the best character work of the year. Um, yeah, just when I think of 2024 in terms of like who I've kept an eye on, and in terms of the stuff he's either posted on Twitter or his promos on Raw or SmackDown, where he's been on, Drew is that guy. He's always the guy I'm always looking for in terms of who I'm looking at. It's like he's the guy I'm looking for to see what he's doing, what matches he's doing, what promos he's doing, what character work he's doing. Gunter, fantastic matches. Don't get me wrong. He's had a fantastic reign, fantastic matches. Great year, great year. No slighting him. And a lot of his matches are actually in my top 10. I think about like 3 or 4 of them are in my top 10. Gunter. Just yeah, I think it's the character work of Drew that has just slightly put him ahead for me of Gunter. But Gunter's my number 3, Drew's my number 2. So I'll let you do your number 2 now.
So my number 2 is Gunther. Um, so with Gunther being my number 2, I look at the overall body of work. Drew beats him with character for sure, but not by too much to me, because I feel like we saw more of a character out of Gunther this year than we have the previous year. So I think he built that character work up more, and then his ring work we already know. So it's like, to me, Drew is very close to Gunther by probably not by a notch, but maybe by two and a half notches, which isn't much. It might seem much, but it's not that much to me. And I go back to my top 10 list, and I only have one Drew match that got on the list, but another one that got very close but didn't. So I think that differs to me why I have Gunther at two. But I'm assuming we have the same person at number one because it would be insane if we didn't.
Yeah, it's Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
Yeah, just it had to be Cody Rhodes. Like when we think of like who was like their year, it was Cody's, with finishing the story, been champion throughout most of this year, and has carried the company on his back. While Roman's been out, like The Rock has even given him props for that in terms of carrying the company on his back for this year, well, last year. So yeah, it just had to be Cody. Like great matches. A couple of his matches are in my top 10. Some great storylines, some great feuds with like the likes of Kevin Owens, and even in the one-off feuds that like didn't have as much story with them, he did well with them. Like with Styles, for example. Um, so yeah, for me, Cody Rhodes is my number one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Cody's my number one because he's the most person on my list, honestly, this year. Um okay, we did the man and female wrestler. What about uh, tag team of the year?
Ooh. This one's more difficult because I can't really think of a standout tag team. If I'm
I agree.
honest, like
I agree.
some tag teams have had like like good years. Like DIY had a good year. The Bloodline had a good year. The Judgment Day to an extent had a good year. But nothing really stands out. You know, nothing really stands out. In fact, funny enough, the one tag team that stands out for me is an NXT team. But I'm not going to say them because then we're not doing NXT. But the one that stands out for me is an NXT team, Fraxium. I think they have been incredible in NXT. So when I think of like a tag team that's had a fantastic year, it's them. But what Motor City Machine Guns, they're definitely up there as well, 100%. But
I think if they came in quicker in the
earlier.
year, then they
Yeah,
would definitely be mine. Um uh you're right, there's not a standout, which isn't too bad of a bad thing, but it's not the best thing in this scenario, if I'm being honest. But
it just goes
I'll
to
go.
show. It goes to show how much the tag teams have been the tag team titles have been, I guess, taken away as priorities. Like, for example, like some of the tag teams that have won the tag team titles in 2024, they were like a part of factions, like the Bloodline, Judgment Day, etc., etc. So, whenever a stable had a title, the tag team titles, they were never focused on the tag team titles. They were just focused on whatever storyline was going on with the stable at the time, like the Judgment Day with, Finn and Priest, or Rhea and Liv, or something like that, or with the Bloodline, with the whole Bloodline story. It was never on the tag team titles, and
Yeah.
we haven't really had any fantastic tag team title matches. Nothing that really stands out. So it's hard to think of a standout. So I'm just gonna go with, I don't know, something like the Judgment Day, just because that's just the first one that pops into my head. It may not be correct, but that's just the first one that pops into my
Um
head.
with mine, I'll go with DIY because I feel like they've been pretty decent with with the titles, and I feel like they've had several good matches that I'm like, okay, it's good matches. It's not great matches, but it's good matches. And then they're recently doing more of a storyline, so maybe they are ramping up for the tag teams a little bit more. It seemed like they are. So I just go DIY. It's not like really the best, but it is what it is. Breakout for the female or and male breakout.
Female's easy. Female is easy. Tiffany Stratton. It has to
Yeah,
be Tiffany Stratton.
it's
Like,
definitely Tiffany.
there's no one else it can be, in my honest opinion. And with men, see, when I think of breakout, like in terms of like a breakout year, it's like someone that's recently new on the main roster that's made an impact. So in terms of like who's broke out on like the main event scene, I'll go Priest. But I'm just thinking of someone who's more newer on the roster. So I'm just trying to think now.
I'll
Um,
go my breakout, and I think he's slowly just going to make his way even more up. And for me, that's Braun Breaker. I'll do Braun Breaker as my breakout.
Yeah, I think I could follow through with that. A couple of others have popped in my head, like Bronson Reed, who I think has had a great year too, like with the
Hmm.
feud with Seth, and now he's like seeming like a big threat. So Bronson Reed is a name that's popped into my head. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Braun Breaker as well because I think ever since he's come up to the main roster, he's been handled very well from Triple H, and now he's had the Intercontinental title. He still has the Intercontinental title, so and he's probably going to carry all the way to Mania. So yeah, I'm gonna go along with that too. I'm gonna go with Braun Breaker as my breakout men of the year.
Um, Last one, the most shocking moment for the year. It can be a return. It can be a debut. It can be just something out of the blue.
Oh boy. Oh god.
This
Oh,
is
I'm
the
gonna
last
I'm
one.
gonna
This is the last one, and then we'll do our top 10 and then honorable mentions for the matches.
I'm gonna have you go first because I'm struggling.
Oh, geez, thanks. Um, let's see here. Um, you know what? It wasn't on television either. I'll go with Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes in the parking lot
Ooh, solid pick. Solid pick. Um,
because
yeah,
that was very just out of fucking
out of
blue.
nowhere. Yeah, that was out of the blue. So yeah, that's a solid shout. Um, I'm just trying to think of ones now. Like the ones that pop in my head immediately is Damian Priest cashing in his Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Um, John Cena announcing his retirement. That's a massive one. Um, The Undertaker returning at WrestleMania and chokeslamming The Rock. That was shocking for me because I thought it was going to be Stone Cold, and then and all of a sudden I hear Undertaker's gong, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" So yeah, Undertaker. Um, let's see, Tangaloa, Tongaloa, debuting at Backlash. That's a solid one.
That
Uh,
that ain't that don't compare to the others you just named though. I will say
no,
that.
no, but that's why that it's not going to be that. But I just listing. Um, Finn Balor betraying Priest at SummerSlam. That's another one. Uh, Out of all of those that I've just said, I'm not gonna lie. Probably Cena announcing his retirement because that was massive.
Mm.
Like, talk about a bombshell announcement. Like, I just right now I can just remember the crowd reaction when John Cena uttered the words, "I'm here to officially announce my retirement of the WWE," and I just remember the crowd just going completely like shock. So Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be John Cena announcing his retirement and Priest cashing his money in the bank as a close second, and Undertaker returning as a close third. So
Mm,
that's my top three. If I had to give a top three, but it's John Cena announcing his retirement for me.
mm. I like that. I like that. All right. Top 10 matches of the year. I'll name. I got. How many? You have any honorable mentions?
I do have some honorable mentions.
How many?
Yes.
How many you have?
Uh, see, I don't have all of them written down, but I have some in my head, so I don't know how many. But
Okay. Okay. So I will. I have five. I will name the first three.
okay.
So I on mine, and this is the last one that would be on my list. Roman and Cody versus the Bloodline at Bad Blood, just because it was Roman's return, and I never really thought I'd see Cody team up with Roman. So that's one of mine. EO versus Bailey night 2 of WrestleMania. That's one of my honorable mentions.
Oh my
I don't
god, I'm surprised.
wait,
I'm
wait,
surprised I didn't get in the top 10.
when look when you there was other better women's matches than this match, and I hate to say it because I thought that was going to be one of my matches, but in my top 10, but it wasn't. I don't know. You might. I got in my last one, and then I have two more after this. Damian Priest and Jay Uso at Backlash.
Okay, no, yeah, that's also in my honorable mentions. That match, Priest and Jey Uso a Backlash. Another one. See, I have some matches from Raw here as well. Not just PLEs, but I have some matches from Raw that stood out.
So,
Um,
so this next upcoming year, I'm going to be better with having Raw or SmackDown matches, but I did not.
mm. So, one I have in my honorable mentions is Ilya Dragunov versus Ricochet. From Raw. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
the King of the Ring matchup. Oh, so good! It was so good. What a TV match that was. So yeah, that's in my honorable mentions. Let's see here. What else do I have here? I have also another Raw match. Um, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable when Gable turned heel. So Sammy won the match and Gable turned heel afterwards, but that was a fantastic match. I think it was right after WrestleMania. So yeah, fantastic match. Let's see. Also, another Sami Zayn Chad Gable match. Their match at Clash of the Castle. That is also in my honorable mentions. Um, let's see here. I think that might be it. Wait, no, wait. Let's see. No, I think that might be it actually. In terms of who I have in my honorable mentions from the top of my head. Yeah, I think that's it for now. If I think
So,
of any more, then I'll say. But that those are in my honorable mentions for now.
so the two matches that came so damn close to being in my top 10, and they're just not. Logan versus Cody at King of the Ring for the WWE Championship, and Priest versus Drew at Clash.
That's another one. Yeah, you remind me of that one. Yeah, that's another one that gets in my honorable mentions as well.
Man,
Um,
look, I am telling you right now, when I tell you Damien and Drew came this, I'm talking about the smallest margin. Eh, eh, damn, look, I think because my first my number 10 is a WrestleMania match. I think if it wasn't at WrestleMania, I think Priest and Drew would have been in my top 10
interesting, interesting.
because because that match was very good, and I honestly was thought it would be in my top 10, but I just couldn't.
All right, who's starting off the top 10?
Okay, I will. Um, all these matches in my top 10 is 4.5 and higher. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Um, Gunther versus Sami Zayn, not two, is number 10 on my list.
What? That low? Okay, that's a shock. Okay, that is a shock to start off.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Um,
Whoo!
so the match is very good, but one, I think it could have been longer, just by a few minutes. Two, I would have liked to see more offense from Sami Zayn. I get the underdog type feel, but I feel like he should have had more offense. That's just me. And I still think Chad Gable should have been in this spot. I hate.
Oh, 100%. Like, when I get onto this match in my top 10, because it's pretty high up, I will admit, and I love this match. But I do agree it should have been Chad Gable in this spot, but I think Sami Zayn did incredibly well
Yeah,
with what he did. So, yeah,
yeah.
that's all I got to say about it for now. But I do agree that Chad Gable should have been in the spot instead. I do agree with
And
that.
and I do want to say Sammy's entrance was very just basic, but it was so good at the same time because he
Mm.
talked to Gable, talked to his family, and then when he got up to the ramp a little bit, Kevin Owens was right there. Very good moment and everything. And the brainbuster spot before the two haluva kicks for the win was it was very insane. But I can't get it past number 10 on my list. I know it sounds crazy, and I'm the one of the biggest Gunther fans when it comes to his matches. But I will say this stays at number 10 for me.
Okay, in my number 10, I have the men's War Games match as my number 10. Um, yeah, I love War Games matches. I love War Games matches. So that's probably a big reason why this is
Um,
on my list. But I love it.
I ain't gonna lie to you, it's not on my list.
Yep, valid. But yeah, no, I love War Games matches. I love the chaos of a War Games match. So I think that's why it gets in my personal top 10. It's not. It wasn't as good of a War Games match to be like anywhere higher than 10, but it was fantastic. Just Bloodline was Bloodline. The story of like that, along with the chaos of the War Games structure, it was great. So that's my number 10.
Okay, go ahead with your number 9 then.
Number 9 is a match from Backlash France. Solo Sikoa and Tamatonga versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. That no holds barred, no street fight stipulation match, but wow, talk about a match that more than lived up to his expectations, exceeded expectations to a big degree. The crowd elevated that match to tenfold. The fact that it was originally just a normal match as well and turned into a street fight, great. And yeah, I think all four men just killed it with that stipulation, and some of the spots in there was
Oh,
crazy.
oh, I agree because it's higher on my list.
Okay, fair, but it's a crazy match.
Hey, you know what's funny about this? I don't mean to interrupt you. Last
Mhm.
year you had the payback tag team match higher, and I didn't. Now this year it's flipped around with the tag team match.
Yeah, I know. It's funny how that happens. But yeah, no, I was thinking about having this higher, but I don't know. There were just other matches I enjoyed slightly more. But yeah, this was fantastic. I love this match. And also Tangaloa, no Tongaloa, debuting at the end of it just was the cherry on top of the cake. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my number 9.
My number nine. I couldn't do it any higher. I know. I mean, this is another WrestleMania match for me too. Um, just overall, this was a very good match and everything like that. But I just found myself enjoying other matches when I was watching them, and that's Roman Rock versus Seth and Cody. That's my number nine.
Oh, okay. So that's an honorable mention for me. Now that you brought that up, that's an honorable mention for me. That's not in my top 10. That's an honorable
Be-
mention for me. But
Because
yeah.
I do feel like The Rock looked very good for not being in the ring for a while, and that was a big thing to me. Um, it did start off very slow, but you knew it was the main event, and you knew this shit was going 40 plus minutes. It went 40, almost 45 minutes. So the funny thing about this is, when after The Rock said to the ref, "You count, you're fired," everything almost went after that. So a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff. Roman spearing The Rock was a very good moment. The double pedigree was pretty cool afterwards. Um, so towards the end, Cody rock bottomed the Rock through an announce table, and then Roman speared the hell out of Seth. So through the barricade. But then after that, Rock hits the weight belt, and after that, it was good night, Cody Rhodes, with the Rock doing the 1, 2, 3. But now, but now it looks like the Rock. I don't know what he's doing for Mania, but they still got him in the promo video. The last one that just showed up, they still got him in the promo video. So who knows? But yeah, this match for me was good, but um there's other matches on this list that just felt like a better match to me. But that's my number nine. My
See,
number Oh, go ahead.
I think the reason why I personally don't have that top 10 is just I think it just went on a smidge too long. Like around about 5 to 10 minutes too long. That's personally why I don't have it in my top 10. But it's a great match. I still love the match. It's just at a certain point in the match, I was just like, okay, this is dragging on the speech.
Now
That's all it was for me.
now I think if they minus 5 to 8 minutes of the match, I think it might have been higher on my list for me.
It would have
But
been in my top 10 if they would have did so. Yeah, for sure.
um
Um,
I'll go with my number eight, and then I'll let you do eight and then
mhm.
seven. My
Yep.
number eight is another WrestleMania match, and
Bloody
it
hell.
is Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. I got them at
Ooh.
number eight on my
Uh,
list.
that's not even my top 10. That can be an honorable mention. That can be an honorable mention. But me personally, I preferred Io and Bailey over this match. But
No,
yeah.
no, nope, not me. Um, um, there's just a lot of stuff, and the insane part of all this is Rhea had she was freaking out before the match. Becky had 101 plus temperature all day long and everything. So I think it's very unique that they put on a very good match through all that, and it was very fit. It was very physical, and Becky can get physical, but she's not very known to be like the biggest physical type in a match. And I think it's unique that she changed up her style to a degree to where I was like, is this Becky Lynch or is this someone else? Even though it was Becky Lynch, it felt like someone else. So that's why it's number eight on my list. Overall, very good, solid women's match, and yeah, I just enjoyed it better than Io and Bailey, and I didn't think I would, but watching if I wouldn't have watched it back, I probably would have had Io and Bailey, but I just watched Io and Bailey back, and it was one of those matches I watched back and I was like, that's a good match, but it's not better than some of these other matches for me
Fair.
personally. But
Um, My number 8 is it is number 8, yeah. Yeah, it's number 8.
Yeah,
Uh
number.
uh Gunther versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam. Yeah, I love this match. In my opinion, it's Damian Priest's best match of 2024, his best title defense of 2024, and ultimately his last one. And yeah, with the moment of Finn Balor costing Priest at the end, also just putting it a cherry on top of the cake. But overall, the match was fantastic. Great Gunter match as per usual. And I just remember it being very, very, very physical. Like those two beat the shit out of each other, and all for the World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, that is my number 8, and it was like the only match that really stopped SummerSlam for being a stinker. Like SummerSlam, there was not that really memorable matches, but
Agreed.
Priest and Gunter, that was what's I guess sort of saved that show for me. So yeah, that match is my number 8.
Okay, go ahead with your number 7, and I'll go with mine.
My number 7 is another Gunter match. Surprise, surprise. This one is actually not on a pay per view or PLE. It's on Raw. Gunter versus Sheamus in the King of the Ring. Again, it's Gunter and Sheamus. It's going to be a banger. Yes, it's not as good as some of their previous matches, obviously, in PLEs in 2023 and so forth, like the Clash of the Castle match and etc. But still, they absolutely killed it in the King of the Ring. Uh, very physical as you imagine it to be, and just the very typical Gunter and Sheamus match that just killed it. So, and I personally think it's the best TV match all year that I've seen. So, yeah, that's why I rank it as number 7. Yeah, number 7. It's the only TV match on this top 10 that I will say. That's the only TV match on this top 10, but it's a fantastic one. So yeah, Gunter and Sheamus is my number 7.
My number 7 is Cody versus AJ at Clash in the I Quit match.
Ooh.
Oh, overall, they did a very good job of using a lot of stuff. Um, I think it's unique how Cody got handcuffed and then he turned the tables onto AJ at the end, and he nailed the hell out of AJ with those with that steel chair. Like I remember over and over and over. Um, but it was very good, but I'm not too fond of the ending, and I think it would have been higher on my list. He had the steel steps, and he had it like this, and it's like AJ waited 10 seconds to say I quit. I feel like he should have said it just like that. So
Mm. Would have
that
been more effective that way. So yeah, I agree with that.
it would have been more effective. But that is my number 7, and my number 6 is that fun wreck of a tag team match, and that is Orton and Kevin Owens versus Solo and Tama at Backlash. My notes literally just a very fun wreck about 20 minutes long. I mean, you had them going everywhere. It was amazing. For me, I enjoyed it a lot. Talking about Logo being his debut and everything, he still botched it, but still, um, just overall, that match was very, very fun, and the crowd helped it because I mean it was the best crowd of the year to me easily. Um, but very, very fun tag team match, and yeah, that's my number 6.
Okay, so I just want to make a note here. As I'm about to go to my number 6, what I've done here with this is that, say someone has had 2 matches or 3 matches. So, like for example, AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton and Gunther, and Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I've only included one, their best match. I'm not including the others because I just wanted to be more diverse with the people I'm including and the different matches. I didn't want to include two different matches of the same people on a list or whatever. So I'm only including one of each. So that's why you're not going to see the Clash of the Castle match between Styles and Rhodes on this list, or two of Punk and McIntyre's matches on this list, or one of the Hunt and Randy Orton matches on this list. Which brings me on to my number 6. Randy Orton versus Gunther, their Bash in Berlin match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not the King of the Ring final one, the one in Berlin. That one for me is slightly better. But honestly, if I was including both of them, they would literally be both like right next to each other because they're pretty much almost the same quality of match for me. They killed it both times. The best way I can really describe Gunther and Randy Orton when they wrestled, it's like two AI supercomputers trying to find a way to outcode each other. That's
Mm.
basically what it was. It's just two wrestling clinics just trying to outsmart each other, outwork each other, outcounter each other. It was, yeah, it's a fantastic slow burn,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
physical and psychological match. Basically, the psychology between these two is on another level. So yeah, but yeah, it's if you're not into a slow burn match, or if you want your matches to be more fast paced, then it's not going to be your style. But me personally, I like a mix of both. I like a mix of fast paced wrestling while also slower pace but more psychology involved. So, and that's what this match brought. So yeah, this is why it's my number 6, Randy Orton versus Gunther at Bash in Berlin.
But personally, I like those matches, but I just didn't. I guess I wasn't. I guess I wasn't the biggest fan of them. But I don't. I don't mind a slow burn match, but I don't know. What is your number 5? Go ahead with your number 5.
My number 5 is a WrestleMania 40 match. It is Bailey versus Io Shirai. In my personal honest opinion, and quite honestly a lot of people's opinions, the best women's match of the year, and they just absolutely went out and killed it. Like, people were going into this match thinking Bailey wasn't going to be able to have as good of a match with EO as like Bailey has had with like the likes of Sasha Banks and that. And although this match is not on that level, that I will say, um, but people were saying like, oh, Bailey doesn't have that big match performance in her like she used to have in NXT. I remember like people were having that agenda going into WrestleMania. She proved all of that dead wrong. She proved all of that dead wrong. And EO for her like first, I think it was EO's first singles match at WrestleMania, or at least maybe her first match at WrestleMania in general.
Hmm.
Fantastic first match at WrestleMania, and I think EO will have a bunch more coming, and potentially even better. We'll see. I think EO will face Rhea at this upcoming WrestleMania, and I can see that being even better than this. So I will see. But yeah, for me, they killed it. They met everyone's expectations and maybe even raised it. So yeah, for me personally, and just the story of everyone wanting Bailey to overcome EO and have a big WrestleMania moment, and the fact that it finally happened for her when it happened with the likes of, Becky and Charlotte and Sasha. Bailey never really had a moment, but now she has one. So, like, the closest WrestleMania moment she had before that was retaining the Raw Women's Championship in a fatal 4 way, a random fatal 4 way. I think it was a fatal 4 way or fatal 5 way or something like that. It was a big multi-man match at WrestleMania 33, if I remember correctly. That was as close to a WrestleMania moment as she had until that. So yeah, she more than deserved it. So yeah, it's my number 5.
um, my number 5 is Priest and Gunther from SummerSlam. This is like the most physical, normal one-on-one match of the entire year that didn't have a stipulation. I'm talking
Agreed.
about chop, slaps. Gunther literally bled on his chest. When we've never seen Gunther ever bleed from someone else chopping him or smacking the hell out of him.
No.
This is the most physical. I might say this is in my top 2 or 3 of the most physical matches I think I've seen. Honestly, probably top 3 at least. Definitely the most physical match of the entire year. Just one on one normal match, not no stipulation.
Mm.
Um, this was a very fun over 16 minutes, and honestly, it was one of those it could have went on longer, and I think it would have been higher on my list if it went longer. Actually,
See,
that's just
that's
crazy.
why it's only in my number 8 spot. I think I put it in. That's why it's only my number 8 and not higher. It's just because I think it should have been longer. It's
Yeah,
too short. That's why. But I do agree. It's fantastic. Like if it was just 5 or 10 minutes longer, even just 5 minutes, I think it
I,
would have been in my top five. So yeah,
I think 5 more minutes would have been perfect. My number 4 now. I didn't do what you did. I do have another Cody and AJ match, and that's at Backlash. I think their match at Backlash was better than Clash. Um,
definitely
I do want to shout out. This was the first time a woman ever ref a main event, and that was Jessica Carr. I do want to point that out. Um, they AJ at one point did a burning hammer to Cody, which I never thought I'd see. You never see a lot of moves like this.
no.
And Cody did the kick out one. It was a smart move to do a kick out at one from a move because that crowd was amazing. So the reaction was like it should have been. Um, but at the end, Cody definitely obviously retained, but this was a very good back and forth match that like because a lot of us was now a lot of people I wasn't questioning it because I felt like AJ was going to deliver. People's like, oh,
Mm.
AJ might be washed, blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, AJ is not washed. Yes, he's getting older, but he's not washed. Like he can put on a good match, and this was a very good match. It's number 4 on my list. And before you name your 4 and 3, I'm just going to say no. I told you at the beginning, my number 3 is going to surprise you, and it is a women's match that was the best women's match of the entire year for me.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so my number 4 is another WrestleMania 40 match. Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. The best Gunter match of the year for me, and just so good. And the second best WrestleMania match of the year. Probably first in terms of actual in ring work for me. But there is one match just because of the moments in it has exceeded that. We'll get onto that later. But yeah, Sami Zayn and Gunter, incredible match. Just a story of Gunter just beating down Sami Zayn, and you may be thinking, oh, he's got no chance. He's got no chance of dethroning Gunther. He's getting absolutely destroyed. No chance. And then all of a sudden, the big comeback from Sami Zayn, and him kicking out of everything Gunther is like giving him, and each kick out and him fighting back, it just made you think, hang on a minute, something might happen here. Hello. It went from not having any belief in him whatsoever that he would do it to all of a sudden, oh, something's on here. A comeback is on here. And yeah, it leading to Gunter being in the face of Sammy's family, and then Sammy making the comeback, and like you said, but like earlier, that top rope brain buster spot was insane. And if there's any move that could have beat Gunter leading to the two hula kicks, I'm glad it was that one because that was devastating. I don't care who you are, you get that delivered to you, you're done.
Mhm.
Yeah, that bar followed by the two Hoover kicks was, in my opinion, the perfect way to end that match in terms of ending Gunter's reign in a way that still makes Gunter look unbeatable in a way still. So like Sami Zayn had to throw the kitchen sink at him, like including a move that Sami had not used in the WWE at all. In fact, I don't. He used to use it on the Indies, but like in WWE, he didn't use that at all because it's quite dangerous. So the fact he had to pull that out to defeat Gunter, for me, that just cements it. So yeah, the very suitable way to end Gunter's reign. My only criticism is again, it should have been Chad Gable in this spot instead of Sammy, but still, it doesn't take anything away from the match and how good it was for me. So yeah, it's in my number four.
For sure.
I'm saying my number three now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. My number three is AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes at Backlash. In my honest opinion, the best in ring match of the year. In terms of the in ring work, this was the best match of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that doesn't make this number one, number two, there was basically no story. There was basically minimal story in this match. It was just a case
I
of
agree.
two excellent workers just trying to beat each other for the world championship and just being an excellent in ring match. Um, But yeah, there was just basically no story in this, which is why it's not even higher. But I will say it is the best in ring match of the year. But yeah, they absolutely fucking killed it, and the crowd for this was so electric. I just remember it now. Like everyone was singing like an AJ Styles song or an AJ Styles chant. That AJ Styles was just looking around like, "Huh? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone was hot for Cody as well. And the crowd elevated this from a fantastic match to an incredible match. So yeah,
Agree.
this gets into my top three. And if it just had a little bit more story to it, it probably would be number two or number one. But yeah, it's number three.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised this ain't in your honorable mentions. My number three, and it to me it was the best women's match of the entire year, and that's the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Um,
Oh,
the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I watched it last night, and I was like, "This is the ultimate train wreck. That was the best thing I think I've ever watched. Almost. If it wasn't for these first number one and number two that we have, this is my this is one of the best women's matches I've seen ever, minus Bailey and Sasha.
wow,
That
that's
that's
high
how,
praise.
dude. That's how I encourage you whenever you have free time to go back and watch this match. It lasted about 17 minutes. Could have went a little bit longer, but it's a ladder match that had so much stuff in this match. Like I couldn't even write down the full notes. This is how much this shit had. But I do
See,
want to
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I do want to mention there was one time Naomi was on the ladder. I forget which two it was. Split the ladder, so she basically had a split. Zoe was one of them, and Naomi got her and did like a DDT, very good move. Zoe did a power bomb on Lala on the ladder, and it looked crazy. And then the ultimate spot of the night, well, the last two, Io had a power slam form, and Zoe put Zoe through like the ladder basically, which that part was insane. And then the ultimate one where Tiffany won, putting Chelsea through the two tables that they set up, which was insane. So, um, for me, they and this ain't even all the stuff. There was so much in this match. This was the ultimate train wreck that has little to no botches in it, which this is why it's very high on my list. I will say they had one spot I was like, what the fuck is Zoe Starks doing? And of course it was Zoe. I don't know what she was doing, but if you watch that match back, you will know what damn spot I'm talking about.
Hmm.
But this was the ultimate train wreck. Very good, and I'll let you say what you was going to say.
See, I do agree with you that it was an incredible Money in the Bank ladder match, and in terms of how I compare it to other ladder matches, other like Money in the Bank ladder matches, especially with the women, is definitely one of the best, if not the best, women's Money in the Bank ladder match ever. And it is one of the better Money in the Bank ladder matches of recent years. I will agree with that. I just the reason why I don't have it in my top 10, I can maybe have it as an honorable mention. I could maybe give it that a shout. I just completely forgot about it. But the reason why I don't have it in my top 10, I don't tend to have Money in the Bank ladder matches in my top 10 ever. Just primarily because I don't enjoy Money in the Bank ladder matches as much as other people do, admittedly. Um, I don't know what it is. Just ladder matches in general have just never really been one of my favorite stipulations. It just, in my honest opinion, I still enjoy them. They're just not one of my favorite stipulations.
I encourage you to go back and watch it, and I guarantee you would have put it in your top 10. Because I'll say this: you might not enjoy it, but you got War Games match, you got a stipulation match in your top 10. I was really surprised that you didn't have this ladder match in your top 10 at least.
See, that's because I prefer a war game stipulation to a ladder match stipulation. Just me personally, it's a stipulation I enjoy more.
But hey,
Um,
most of the time I do too. But when I watched this, I said you can't deny the fact of how good these women were in this match. So
oh yeah, like I said, on its own merit, like in terms of like a Money in the Bank ladder match, incredible, incredible. I remember it, so like I remember how good it was. It's just yeah, for me, Money in the Bank ladder matches have never really been something that I always want to go back and watch. Just
mm,
my personal taste, my personal thing. Money
mm,
in the Bank ladder matches for me have always been like great watch, great on the first watch. Probably won't go back to it though. Just in my personal opinion. Um, but yeah, for the first watch I remember watching it, great match. But yeah, just it doesn't get my top 10. Um, you do number two, or am I doing number two first?
mm. Oh, we gonna have the same number one or number two, or is it gonna be different?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have the same two matches, considering they haven't been mentioned. But it's just, do we have the same order or do we have the different order?
I'll go first. But by the way, both of them are 5-star matches in my opinion.
Oh,
So
easily,
they're
easily.
they're both 5-star matches for different reasons. Um, I was at one of these matches, and you would think I'd have it number one, but I can't put it number one. I'm sorry. So I got Drew and Punk at Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, which I was at. I have to put it number two. It did look any other damn year, this would be number one. I mean, it would be easily number one, probably. But I can't put it number one because I just can't. They did restore the Hell in a Cell by so much. And the one thing that I know a lot of people like in Hell in a Cells is, oh, the cell gets broken, they get to the top. I kind of like that they didn't do that for once. So I kind of like they didn't do that for once. But I know this is shocking. I know I was there, but I gotta put it number two. I have to.
Wow. I have to say, because I knew that you were a Bad Blood and that you did see that match live, I thought for certain you was going to put that match as number one. I thought for certain you was going to do that, but wow, you shocked me.
I
Well,
can't.
have we?
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it because the number one, obviously, it just with the story, with everything else, I can't put it above. I can't put Punk and Drew at number one. I wish I could, but I every bone and fiber in my body with being at the show, watching it back that I did last night because that was the first time I watched it back, and I was like, man, how how can I put this number one? I couldn't.
Have we gone for the same order? Have we gone for the same number two and number one?
I don't know
Yes, we
you.
have.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, we have. I was this close,
Oh,
this
I was.
close.
Well, I don't know how close that is, but I was a lot closer. I had to be a little bit closer than that.
Like I was this close to putting Punk and Drew as my number one, and at one point in the stream, even I was going to put it number one because I was like so like out about it. I was not like fully decided. Like halfway through the stream, I was like, oh yeah, Punk and Drew is gonna be number one. And then as the stream continued to go on, I was like, I don't know actually. I don't know if I can. So yeah, I'm just now gonna make my final decision, and I'm gonna put Punk and Drew as my number two, and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 as my number one. Um, the reason why it's sort of similar to what you said. Um, CM Punk and McIntyre, although it restored the cell in terms of the mystique of it, and wait, sorry, my dog just freaking out, backing him up.
It's all good. Smart marks. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're very we're not the dumb we're not dumb ones, but it's just it's tough. It's tough to put Punk and Drew at number one for me just because the story that Cody and Roman did with The Rock in it, with everyone in it overall, and just how it ended and everything. You can't. I said when WrestleMania ended, I told myself I don't think there's going to be another best match story that beats that. And
Mm.
then I'm over there at Bad Blood watching this Hell in a Cell, and I'm thinking, well, damn, I don't know. It's close, so I had to watch both of them back, and yep, that's my choice. It's so damn close. I
Yeah.
but
See, like, all right. So for me, like, yeah, the reason why I've put Punk and Drew number two, although, like, yeah, literally any other year, this would have been number one. Any other year, this would have been best match of the year. But although this did like bring back the feeling of Hell in a Cell and the mystique of it, and brought back the true meaning of Hell in a Cell, of like not just the match stipulation they do for marketing for a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This is the match you bring out when the feud warrants it, and there's like deep hatred in the feud. And Punk and Drew brought all of that back of the old school times of Hell in a Cell matches. They brought all of that back. And I will say, like, in terms of some of the most brutal matches that I've seen in recent times, oh boy, it's up there. It is up there. The amount of blood that was shed in that match between McIntyre and Punk. And the thing is, it's not like how can I say this? It's not like in AEW where you see blood all the time, and for example, John Moxley, where he like bleeds almost every match. Um, this wasn't just blood for the sake of blood and just them bleeding for the sake of bleeding for effect. It proper meant something, the match, just because you know how much hatred there is between the two. So when you see them two just beating the hell out of each other, brutalizing each other to the point where they're both bleeding like a stuck pig, like it was brutalizing. Um, yeah, it was probably the best Hell in a Cell match that I can remember for a long time. singles especially. Like the last time I remember a Hell in a Cell match being that good for a different reason, more from an in-ring aspect more than like a brutalizing aspect. But the Usos versus the New Day.
Mm-hmm.
This was the best Hell in a Cell match since that one. And in terms of singles, I can't even remember the last time I've seen as good of a singles Hell in a Cell match than that one. But that was fantastic. But the reason why I've put Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 above this is, like you said, it. When I think of how I enjoy a match because of how much it garners a reaction out of me. If it garners a massive reaction out of me, that's how I know a match is fantastic. And yes, although this match did need all the bells and whistles of like the you know the interferences and just like the whole like Jimmy and Jay, The Rock, Cena, Undertaker, Seth, it all made sense. Normally, like in a big main event match, you don't want that type of shit. You want like a just a clean victory for the person. But this made sense just from a storyline aspect of like
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy came out to help Roman because his bloodline rules. Uh, Jay came out to stop him after he beat him the previous night in the worst match of 2024. So I had to get out there, and then uh, and then obviously Solo coming out to help Roman, and then John Cena coming out to get rid of Solo after they had a bit of a thing before, and then Seth came out with the Shield music, which is a big shock moment, and I really did think for a moment, and I'm pretty sure other people did too, that somehow Dean Ambrose was going to be there too with Seth when the Shield music came. It was like, hang on a fucking minute. But no, that was great. And then obviously The Rock coming out, the final boss, and then the big reveal of the Undertaker. I really did think it was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I think it would have been even better if it was, just purely because of the history between The Rock and Stone Cold. But the Undertaker was still a good moment, shock moment with the gong, him appearing behind The Rock, choke slamming him, getting rid of him, and more than ever, what puts us over the edge is the storyline aspect of how Roman lost that match with Seth Rollins being there with the steel chair. Roman had a decision to make. Seth was laying there. Cody was laying there. Roman could have just gone ahead and beat Cody if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Cody was there for the taking. He could have just hit him with steel chairs and speared him 1, 2, 3, but he took his eye off the ball because he focuses his attention on Seth Rollins. And because he couldn't get over the Shield betrayal all those years back, and he had to get revenge on Seth Rollins by hitting him in the back of the steel chair, gave Cody just enough time to recuperate, counter Roman, hit the three crossroads, and finish the story. Just was the perfect way to end that match and end that title reign and have Cody finish the story. Yeah, and I just the number one reason why I'm putting this as my number one is I remember my reactions and I remember how I felt when all of that happened. I was at a like a live watch party with a couple of my friends. Some of them, like a couple of my friends, were not cheering for Cody. They were cheering for Roman. They were all Team Roman. They were not Team Cody. I was Team Cody all the way. They were not Team Cody. Um, so but there was like one or two people there that were also Team Cody, so like it was a proper like, oh, I'm Team Cody, you're Team Roman, like who's gonna win sort of thing. So I've always had a bit of fun with that too. And when Cody won, me and the friends that I had that were Team Cody, I remember us just running around, fucking celebrating, hugging each other, just going nuts, and along with all the interferences and stuff. So it was just the fact that that match got that type of reaction out of me that is rare in a wrestling match for me. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
rare that a wrestling match gets that sort of reaction out of me, unless it's like to do with like a return or something. But the fact that that match did just speaks to how good of a match it was. It didn't need to be the moments made up for it, and the story made up for it ultimately. So yeah, that's it's my number one as well.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Like, if I can, and there's a testament to this number one and number two. if I can go back and watch a match and feel almost like the same way when I watched it the first time, or if I was there live, like for the Punk and Drew match, like that's a very big testament to the matches in general. And I feel that so much when I watch Cody and Roman, or if I watch like that last 5 to 7 minutes, it's like I watched it for the first time ever. And um you're right about the reaction. Like, if you can get me to feel the emotions of what happened, that's a big indicator. Hey, this match was really good, and the moment was really good. And I think while watching it and everything, I was, it kind of hit me. I'm like, man, you know, I think since I've gotten older, I've gotten more emotional somehow, some way. I don't know how. I'm not really the emotional type, but I do get that way sometimes. And seeing Cody and then have the championship, looking up, and then Brandy being there and everything, I think it just hit me like a lot that I wish, uh, you know, Dusty was there for him. So
Mm.
that's like a big thing.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Like, I've always been that way with wrestling matches. Like, if you can make me feel the emotion of the occasion, that's a, like you said, a huge indicator that the match was fantastic, and also the result or the moment was amazing too. Like, I remember a couple. Like, there's Daniel Bryan winning the World Championship at WrestleMania 30. Like, that was a big one. Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship from Daniel Bryan. Like, there's a couple of moments like that where it's just insane. Like, and when it happens, like, there's nothing like it. But I think the difference with this, along with the other two matches, is that I don't know, just with the story that was in the match with it was like an Avengers fucking thing, an Avengers Unite kind of thing with everyone coming out and getting involved and stuff. It was like watching a TV show essentially. It was like watching a TV show where like all of them come together as one big massive battle and then eventually the good guy wins in the end. It was literally like watching a TV show. It was mad. But yeah, it's a very unique match and one that will hold up in the test of time for sure. So yeah, that's why it's got to be number
Yeah, that was our like top 10 with the other categories we have, which is crazy. Um, Dang, we almost went 2 hours on little categories. The Saturday night main event and just our top 10, which is crazy.
one. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Um, I don't know what else you're going to mention before we end the stream, but I've got things to
Go
say
ahead.
specifically about Liverpool. So, because there's been a few things happening and a bit of an update on our season, so I just want to quickly run through. So, I'm trying to remember where we last left off. I think the last time I left off result wise was when we beat Real Madrid 2-0 in the Champions League. So since then, we've had a bunch of games. So we've had all of December and all of, well, not all of January, halfway through January. But after we beat Real Madrid, we beat Man City 2-0, which is massive result considering in previous seasons they were our main title challengers for a while. So us beating them 2-0 was a big statement that like we battered them too. Like I remember the game, we battered them. We like it was not even close. After that, we did have a slight drop off. We drew 3-3 against Newcastle away, which we had the win. We were leading 3-2, and then Queven Callagher, our goalkeeper at the time, our backup goalkeeper, because Allison was injured, he made one mistake, and it led to 3-3. But apart from that, Callagher was very solid, so nothing on him. Just yeah, he just made one mistake and it ended 3-3. in the Premier League. Then we bounced back and beat Girona in the Champions League 1-0. Then in the Premier League, we actually went on to have 2 draws in a row. Fulham, we drew 2-2 at home against Fulham, which is a bad result, on its own. But when you put in the context of we had a red card in that match, we were down to 10 men. Robertson got a red card quite early on. We did well to fight back. We were also 1 or 2-0 down at the time, I think. So we fought back and made it 2-2. So it was a good point in the end. But yeah, we had 2 draws on the bounce in the Premier League, which is not the ideal, but it's fine. Like, it didn't really affect us long term. Then we went and beat Southampton 2-1 in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals to get us into the semi-finals. Then we absolutely destroyed Tottenham 6-3 in the Premier League away from home. We destroyed them. After that, we beat Leicester 3-1 in the Premier League. So a pretty comfortable win there. Then after that, we went to West Ham and destroyed them 5-0. Sorry, Josh, if you're still in this chat, reminding you about that. But yeah, that was a slaughter. Destroyed them 5-0. And then we drew 2-2 against Manchester United at home in the Premier League. It was just a game where we didn't really turn up. So the fact that we still got a draw out of that wasn't a bad result. But yeah, we should have beaten them. But yeah, we just didn't really turn up to a certain extent. And then after that, we lost 1-0 in the Carabao Cup semi-finals first leg. There are 2 legs in this, so we are not out of the Carabao Cup yet. We have the second leg to turn it around, but we are 1-0 down. So we have to basically win 2-0 in the second leg to advance. Or if we win 1-0 in the second leg, it goes to penalties. So yeah, it's like an aggregate kind of thing. So yeah. But what I will say, that 1-0 loss at Tottenham was a bit bullshit because the guy who scored the goal should have been sent off minutes before he scored the goal. So he was on a yellow card and he fouled Kostas Tsimikas, completely cleared him out. Definite foul, definite second yellow card, it should have been. Didn't get the second yellow card. Tsimikas had to receive treatment on the sidelines, so we were temporarily down to 10 men. And then while we were temporarily down to 10 men, that same player who fouled him, who should have been sent off, Lucas Bergvall, went on and scored the winner. So yeah, that was a bit bollocks, but it is what it is. I'm confident we'll turn it around in the second leg. So I ain't that worried. We bounced back then and faced Accrington Stanley in the FA Cup and beat them 4-0 comfortably. They're a League 1 or League 2 side. I think they're somewhere in the lower leagues, but so it should have been easy, comfortable win anyway. But we got it done. Then we drew 1-1 with Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Tough game, tough place to go to. Nottingham Forest. They actually are the surprise team of the entire season so far, because they're a team that before this season was like one of the lower teams in the league. They're in the top 4 now, which is crazy. I think they're 3rd. They're now tied 2nd, I think, now with Arsenal on the same amount of points. I think Arsenal's just ahead in goal difference, although I might be wrong in that. They might be now ahead of Arsenal in goal difference. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked at the table yet. But they are 2nd or 3rd in the league right now, which is incredible for Nottingham Forest. And I do hope they do eventually go on to get Champions League football and finish in the top 4 because they're fantastic. But yeah, funny enough, in that match we were 1-0 down, and they are incredibly hard team to break down. They don't concede many goals. Arnie Slot, our manager, made some couple of substitutions. So he brought off Andrew Robertson and Ibrahim Konate to bring on Kostas Tsimikas and Diogo Jota. So remember those 2 names, Kostas Tsimikas and Diogo Jota. Brought them on, we had a corner. Brought those 2 on, Kostas Tsimikas took the corner and Jota scored immediately. So the 2 people that brought on immediately made an impact to a goal. In fact, I think it was the quickest amount of time a substitution has scored a goal. I think in Liverpool's history, or at least one of them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's one of them. 21 seconds in between being subbed on and
That's
scoring
crazy.
that goal. 21 seconds. Crazy. But yeah, talk about instant impact. And now, in the most recent game, yesterday, we beat Brentford 2-0. Thank you, Darwin Núñez. It was 0-0 up until the 90th minute. So right at the end, we were 0-0. We were about to draw our third game in the Premier League in a row, which would have opened the door for Arsenal to close the gap. But Darwin Núñez said no. Scored a goal in the 90th minute, and then scored another one 2 minutes later before the game ended, and won us the game 2-0. So now we currently are obviously still top of the league. We're top of the league. We have won 21. No, we've played 21 games. We've won 15, lost 1, and drawn 5. We've scored 50 goals, conceded 20 goals, and we got a goal difference of 30. So we got 50 points currently in the Premier League. And Arsenal, behind us in second, have 44 points, and they've played 22 games. We've played 21, so we have a game in hand. So if we win our game in hand, we'll have 53 points, which is 9 points ahead of them if we win our game in hand. We're currently 6 points ahead, 9 if we win our game in hand. So big point gap. Yesterday was actually a crucial day in the title race, because say if we drew that game against Brentford, say if we drew that, we would have 48 points right now. And Arsenal faced Aston Villa after that game, and Arsenal actually drew that game with Villa 2-2, so they dropped 2 points. So say if we dropped 2 points and went to 48, and they managed to beat Villa, they would have got 46, which means they would have been 2 points behind us.
That'd be crazy.
Still, we would have had a game in hand still, but 2 points. Maybe 5 if we win our game in hand. But now that they drew and we won our game, it's 6 points, potentially 9 if we win our game in hand. So that just shows the difference that yesterday made. Just 2 different results could have made a title race very different. But we got on the right end of it, so now we have a very good point gap. And I think from here we are almost definitely going to win the league. I'm very, very confident. We still have a lot of tough games coming up, though. We do have to face Arsenal at home. We do have some tough games against City coming up as well. Chelsea, Newcastle. So Bournemouth away from home is coming up very soon. That's not going to be easy. So there's still a few tough games, along with the 2 Merseyside derby games against Everton. So that's not going to be easy either. There is a few tough games in there, but I think I've seen enough from this team to know that they're good enough to win the league. I think we are the best team in the league. I think the reason why Arsenal hasn't been able to catch us so far is just because they just don't have enough good attackers in their team. We have much better attackers. Obviously, we have Salah, who's playing out of his skin. Not in the past couple of games, admittedly, but over this whole season, he's been playing out of his skin. Gakpo's been really good consistently. Diaz has chipped in. Jota, when he's been available, he's been good. Núñez has now just pipped in with 2 crucial goals. So we have our attackers who are contributing. Whereas Arsenal, now that they have Saka injured, who is their best player in terms of attack, they don't really have a lot going forward. They have Havertz, who's not as good. Martinelli, who's inconsistent at times. Trossard, who pips in with goals now and then, but not as good. So I just think our attack is going to be too good for Arsenal, and I think we are going to win the league. Yeah, that's just personally what I think. And when it comes to the other competitions, obviously Carabao Cup, we're going to have to turn it around against Tottenham. But if we do, then we have either Newcastle or Arsenal in the final. Probably going to be Newcastle, as they are 2-0 up against Arsenal from the first leg. So Arsenal pretty much have to beat them 3-0 in the second leg, or 2-0 to take it to penalties, which is not very likely with their attack. So I think Newcastle will go through. So if we turn it around against Tottenham, which we can, we'll face Newcastle in the final if we get that far. FA Cup, there's still a long way to go for that one, so we'll see. And Champions League, we are definitely through to the round of 16, the knockout rounds. So we just play our last 2 games of the group stage. I guess we just take a chill for there, and then yeah, we'll just see how far we get in the Champions League. We definitely have the potential to win at least 1 or 2 trophies this season. Maybe a few more. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to be too getting ahead of myself, but I think we will win at least 1 trophy, and I'm pretty confident we will win the Premier League. But we will see. In terms of the stats of the season so far, just to give you an idea of how we've been doing. So, in all competitions, so this is like in all of the competitions, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League. So we've played 32 games this season so far, and out of those 32 games, we've won 25, we've drawn 5, and lost 2. So that's a very good record. We scored 77 goals this season so far, and I've already conceded 26. So pretty good. Premier League, like I said, we've played 21, won 15, drawn 5, and lost 1. We've scored 50 goals in the Premier League and conceded only 20. Champions League, we've played 6 games. We've won all 6 so far in the Champions League. 13 goals scored and only 1 goal conceded in the Champions League so far. So we're not conceding many goals in the Champions League so far. FA Cup, we've only played 1 game in the FA Cup so far. 1 win, 4 goals scored, and none conceded. And Carabao Cup, we've won 4 games. We've played 4 games, 3 wins, only 1 loss against Tottenham. 10 goals scored, 5 conceded. So, yeah. Overall, we've been very consistent. In terms of individual players who are standing out, obviously Stalo is the big standout. He's got 21 goals and 17 assists so far this season, which is mad. Luis Diaz is second. In fact, Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo is tied second for goals. So Salah's got 21. Luis Diaz and Gakpo have 12 goals each. Jota has 8. Nunes has 6. Szoboszlai has 3. Curtis Jones has 3. McAllister has 3. Alexander-Arnold has 2. Van Dijk has 2. Konate has 2. And the rest have just 1. But Trent Alexander-Arnold has 6 assists along with his 2 goals. McAllister has 3 assists. Curtis Jones has 4 assists. Szoboszlai has 4 assists. Nunes has 4 assists. Gakpo has 4 assists. Jota has 2 assists. And Diaz has 2 assists. So, yeah, overall, this so far it's been really good. We had a tiny bit of a wobble, like I said, when we drew a couple games in a row. In fact, we just had our big wobble of the season so far, and if this is our wobble, then we'll be fine because we don't lose many. Because our big wobble so far is just a 2-2 draw against Manchester United, followed by a 1-0 loss against Tottenham, a 4-0 win against Accrington Stanley, and a 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest. And then we just beat Brentford 2-0. So if that's our wobble, then we'll be fine. In terms of our upcoming games, we got Lille on Tuesday in the Champions League. I think we should rest our players there because we're pretty much through already. So rest some key players, but we should theoretically win that game. Then in the Premier League, we got Ipswich at home. That should be an easy 3 points. They just got absolutely destroyed today by Man City 6-0. And they're one of the lower teams in the league, so we should batter them. Then after that, on the 29th of January, we got PSV in the Champions League. Again, rest key players there, but we should get the win there. Then after that, it's going to be a tough game in the Premier League. Bournemouth away, who are doing really well in the Premier League. They're along with Nottingham Forest in terms of a team that's over exceeding expectations in terms of how high they are in the league. They are 6th place in the league right now, which is really good for Bournemouth. Because they're normally around mid-table. They're normally around 10th, 9th, 11th, somewhere around there. They're normally around there. But they're 6th right now. They are having a great season, so that's not going to be easy. They've beaten the likes of Arsenal and City and teams like that this season, so it's not going to be easy. We beat them earlier this season at home, but it wasn't easy from my memory. I'm trying to remember what was the results in terms of the scoreline of that one. I think it was 2-0 if I'm not mistaken. Confirm. No, 3-0. Okay, so we actually beat them quite comfortably at home, but away from home I expected it to be a lot more difficult. But we'll see. After that, then we got Tottenham at home in the second leg of the Carabao Cup on the 6th of February. Again, we got to win 2-0 there, or basically with a 2-goal deficit there to overcome. Well, 1-goal deficit to overcome. We got to score 2 goals above them. Or what if we want to take it to penalties? But I'd rather us just get a 2-0 win and just saw through. So it's not going to be easy because we do have a deficit to go through, but I expect us to turn it around. Then after that, we got Plymouth away in the FA Cup, which should be an easy win because they're in the championship, so it should be an easy win. Then we got Everton away in the Premier League, the Merseyside derby on February the 12th, which is the game in hand that we have because our previous game against Everton got postponed due to weather, and Storm Dara was going around at the time, and yeah, we couldn't play the game. So that's our game in hand. If we win that game in hand, then we got a 9-point gap above Arsenal, and we'll see by that point. But yeah, that's a must win. Yeah. Then after that, we got like Wolves at home, Man City away, Newcastle at home, Southampton at home. So yeah, we got some tough games coming up, but also some easy ones too. So I expect the next few ones to be easier than the ones we got through in recent times, the last couple games. So yeah, I'm very optimistic about our chances in terms of the league, and we'll see about the other competitions. But yeah, I think it's going to be shaping up to be a very good season, especially for Arne Slot's first season. Um, see what rolls on from here.
Hey, all you gotta do is win, 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 baby.
Yep, just keep it going, keep the momentum going. That's all you can do. The players say themselves, like when it comes to like other teams like Arsenal and teams like that, cool if they drop points, cool if they draw, but ultimately we still have to do our job. We have to win our games. Just take it game by game and see where it goes. So, yeah, I'm very happy about where the season's going so far, though. I will say.
That's all you gotta do. The, play your own style. It's the same thing in every sport. If you play your own game in every game, good results. So, that's all they got to do. How many more games is left now in the Premier League?
In the Premier League, so for other teams, they've played 22, so it will be 16 more for them, 17 more for us. So yeah, we've got 17 games to go. So we've played 21, there's 17 to go. So we're over halfway now, just over halfway, and we've got 50 points. So if I had to give a rough estimate of where I think we'll finish points wise, I think we'll finish in the realm of 85 to 90 points. That's where I think we'll finish at. I think that's where we'll finish at. Approximately, I think that's is going to be enough to win the league. Seasons before, you had to get 90 at least because City were insane. You had to get 90 points at least to try and win the league, but it's not going to be like that this season, I don't think, because the teams this season aren't as consistent winning, especially City and Arsenal on that. So I think a points tally of around 85 to 88 and 90, even less than 90, so like 85 to 88, I think will be enough to win the league. So if we could just get that, we're good.
Mm. I agree with that. So hopefully, everything goes right like it should, and then winning the league.
Yep, it'll be our first league title since 1920. So it'll be our first league title in 5 years. So it'll be nice to see, and it'll be a nice one to win with fans because the last time we won the league, we couldn't celebrate it in front of fans because COVID happened.
Mm.
So this time, if we win the league, we'll actually be able to celebrate in front of fans, and there'll be like a parade, a celebration. It'll be fantastic. So hopefully that will work.
Right.
And another big crucial thing is that if we win the Premier League, it will put us tied with Manchester United in terms of a team that has had the most top flight league titles. So Manchester United have 20, we have 19. So if we win this one, we get tied with them in 20. So we'll be tied with them as the most successful team in top flight English history in terms of the league titles. So gotta get that because I want to brag about that.
I understand that for sure. All right. It's been episode 78. Next time we'll be back, it'll be 79. It'll be right before the Royal Rumble. And then I guess we'll see who's right and who's wrong with the Rumble because I'm sure we'll have different opinions.
I'm almost tempted to just say my prediction now, but no,
Nah.
I'll wait for it later.
Nah, just wait for it later. But we'll be back then. Tomorrow, my Great O Universe mode will be back. My voice will be gone. And
I wonder how rusty you're gonna be at commentary, because I know, man. Like I've been there. I've been there in terms of not doing commentary for a long time for Universe mode, and then coming back to it, and all of a sudden you're just so out of rhythm with yourself, and you're just like, how the fuck do I do this again?
well, I'll say this: most people would probably, do a match or something, and just practice. No, I'm doing it on the fly. I'm not doing no practice.
I
Nope.
respect it.
But I do have the rest of my King and Queen of the Ring after I do this. So I'll do that after I get back. So back to doing it. I'm excited, but I'm also no. I'm about to be rusty as hell. So we'll see tomorrow. But all right. Hope you guys have a great one. And till tomorrow for me, and then for the Rumble for him. We'll see you guys next time.